The Hungarian Grand Prix was full of stories that we could have started the week with. Alfa Romeo's heartbreaking first lap, Alpine's unbelievable bad luck and grid-leading retirement rate, Daniel Ricciardo's return, McLaren's incredible upturn in form, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell showing both sides of the phrase, "you don't win anything on Saturday." But to kick things off, we want to talk about Ferrari and their incredible ability to underachieve, so don't go anywhere. Ferrari have historically been considered a top team in Formula 1, but over the last 15 years they've been completely upstaged by Mercedes and Red Bull. Every season we expect so much more from them, but the endemic issues the team faces continue to hold them back. At the Hungarian Grand Prix we saw everything wrong with the Ferrari team. They had a reprofiled front wing specifically for the track, which made no difference to their relative standing versus Red Bull, McLaren and Mercedes. They had pit stop problems that cost Leclerc the best part of 10 seconds, which at the end of the race would have earned him 2 extra places. They had technical problems with their radios and water for the drivers. And finally, they appear to have strategy problems as well. But then again, all those problems are modus operandi for this Ferrari team at the moment. Then again, compared to their starting positions, perhaps it wasn't that bad a weekend for Ferrari. Charles Leclerc only dropped 1 place from his qualifying position, and that was only due to a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Carlos Sainz made up 3 places as well, making up for a relatively poor qualifying from the Spaniard. This prompted Charles Leclerc to say Ferrari's result in the Hungarian Grand Prix looked worse than it was after enduring a litany of problems during the race. The pit stop was quite slow and we had a 5 seconds penalty for speeding in the pit lane, said Leclerc. So it's again a weekend that is difficult. Honestly, it's frustrating overall because I felt that with the pace we had today, even as a driver, when you are feeling like you are doing a good job with the car you have, nobody really notices it. And whenever you are doing a bad job, everybody notices it. So it is difficult, but at the end, it's part of the game. If you took away the pit stop mistake that was worth roughly 7 seconds and a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, he would have finished 5th ahead of the slow-moving McLaren of Oscar Piastri, which I'm sure had some floor damage that was causing him to lose lap time. If you ignored the penalty, then Leclerc would be right. He and Ferrari did do a good job in Hungary. But you can't just pick and choose what to focus on. You have to view the whole picture. And when you drive for Ferrari, there's nowhere to hide because everyone expects so much from you. Leclerc said the team needs to do a step forward as McLaren did with their car. Now we're on the back foot, and it has been confirmed since the last 3 weekends, so there's a lot of work to do again. Having finished second 2 races ago in Austria, Leclerc has taken 9th and 7th in the following rounds. Honestly, today I feel like the result is so much worse than what it felt like, he said. The first stint felt really good, then with the slow stop it really put us on the back foot being behind Lance. I had to push a lot, then we were with Carlos and we lost a bit of time there. This brings us to Ferraris strategy problems, which have been well documented in the past, and despite a change of management seem to persist. We have also a lot of problems with the radio, Leclerc explained. 1 out of 4 words is not understood by an engineer, because there's just problems with our radio for 3 or 4 races, so we need to fix that. Just take a second to think about that. Ferrari have had issues with their radios for 3 or 4 races that has meant they can't understand each other. On the race broadcast we can understand them clearly, but the pit wall and the drivers can't understand each other. It's just mental that they've had this problem for so long and haven't been able to resolve it. That was the excuse given, but Ferrari's on-track plan just didn't make much sense a lot of the time. The 2 drivers were on different strategies during the race. Sainz started on softs and Leclerc started on mediums. Sainz pretty quickly caught up to his teammate, but despite being on different strategies wasn't allowed through. Then towards the end of the second stint, Leclerc caught up to Sainz and was very obviously the faster of the 2 cars, but wasn't allowed through, with Ferrari instead opting to undercut Leclerc to get him ahead of Sainz. This meant Leclerc had a long final stint on a set of used hard tyres, allowing George Russell, who was on brand new medium tyres, to easily catch Charles and take advantage of the Ferrari driver's post-race 5-second penalty. Leclerc tried to communicate with his team as he came up behind Sainz in the second stint that he wanted the car switching, but the radio problems meant his message was lost in transmission. Requesting that he be offset in terms of strategy, Xavier Padros, Leclerc's race engineer, responded to Leclerc by saying, "We are discussing it at the end." This understandably annoyed Leclerc, who replied, "What do you mean at the end?" before Xavier responded, We are on it." He blamed his angry tone on the radio issues, but you can understand his frustration. Ferrari seem to be scared of upsetting either of their drivers this season. This isn't the first race they've failed to swap the drivers quick enough, or have just point-blank refused to. Team principal Fred Vasseur was asked after the race what went wrong for Ferrari, and he was quick to say they were going to resolve the problems, but Ferrari have been saying that for years. First, we'll need time to understand what we did right and wrong, because the format was different, and it's not so easy to analyse the perfect weekend, and you need to get all the results to be able to do a reliable engineering on this, explained Vasseur. But I think on our side, it's much more the fact that we made too many mistakes from the beginning to the end. It's not just about the pit stop or the pit entry, or the quali yesterday or the management of the tyres. At the end, the potential was probably better than what we showed yesterday. And then, at least with Charles, we lost 20 seconds on the race. I'm very open with you to say we are doing too many mistakes. I think it's true that if you ask the same question to Toto Wolff, he will say the same. Nice attempt at deflection from Fred, but Mercedes definitely don't have Ferrari's problems at the moment. If anything, Toto's probably pretty happy with how their Grand Prix went. Ferrari are 4th in the Constructors' Championship, 17 points behind Aston Martin, ahead of the Belgian Grand Prix. Leclerc and Sainz ran closely for most of the race, but the Spaniard in particular dropped off towards the end of the Grand Prix and was easily overtaken by Russell. It's clear that right now we're not where we want to be in terms of race pace, in terms of everything really. Tyre deg, pace, even one lap this weekend hasn't been our strength either, Sainz told Sky Sports F1. So clearly some homework to do to understand why at a track where we expected maybe to be a bit stronger than we were not. And I'm sure we'll try to make a step in Spa to understand. And if not, we will take the summer break to analyse everything and put together a better package for the other half. It is what it is. I don't care about Charles or 7th or 8th, I just care about Russell being 1.5 seconds quicker at the end of his stint. It's been obvious for a while now that things need to change at Ferrari. Vasseur deserves longer to see if he can fix the issues that have plagued the team for seasons now. Something that is happening at Ferrari is the replacement of top members of staff. It was revealed over the weekend that Ferrari has captured one of Mercedes' senior figures as part of the restructuring process that Fred is undertaking at Maranello. Mercedes Performance Director Loic Serra will be joining the Italian team from 2025 when his contract at Mercedes expires. Loic will be adding his name to the ever-growing list of Mercedes staff that have abandoned the team in recent years. Serra has a long history in Formula 1, having originally begun his career as a tyre engineer at Michelin, with a speciality in suspension and vehicle dynamics. After Michelin announced its withdrawal from Formula 1 at the end of 2006, Serra joined BMW Sauber as head of vehicle performance, before moving to Mercedes in 2010, originally as chief engineer of vehicle engineering. He's since moved through the ranks, becoming head of vehicle dynamics in 2013, and then promoted to performance director in 2018. Ferrari will hope that he can bring the knowledge and skills that made Merc so successful in the 2010s to their team. What did you think of Ferrari's Hungarian Grand Prix? Better than it looked, or just another disappointment? Why don't you let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.